Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Lonely Overlander. Today we're going to do Season 2 year-end review of the channel. And what a year it was. Starting off in the early season, I managed to snag a 2-day reservation at Algonquin Park. And I was planning on doing this a trip before I did something more ambitious because I had an off-brand 12-volt fridge that I got new I wanted to test out, and well, I had a new co-pilot in Lexi and I wanted to see how she'd do on a trip. One of the shortcomings of having a rooftop tent like I got on the Bronco is camping at a provincial park such as Algonquin, where you have vast areas to explore and lots of trails to hike. With a rooftop tent, you're kind of constrained to your home base, as it were. If you want to take off for the day to do a bit of hiking, you're basically packing everything up and putting everything away so you could drive off. Of course, if you had like a hard top clamshell tent, it'd be a little easier to do so. However, for our stay, it basically rained for most of the time. The rain let up a little bit towards the end, but I guess that's one of the pluses of having a rooftop tent is you're up off the cold, wet ground. Eventually dried up on our last day there, I think, and the sun come out. And of course, being a provincial park, you have a nice large picnic table to work off of. And so I decided to do a bit of a cooking episode where I try a little bit of a ambitious recipe. So that's kind of nice to have the workspace to prep your meals like that. It's a lot different when you're working off a small folding table out in the middle of nowhere and trying to do an episode where you're cooking. But this specific park we stayed at was Mew Lake, and at the front of it there's a massive cycling trail that runs across, and it goes to Lake of Two Rivers and to the Lake of Two Rivers store. But in behind the campground there was also some trails that me and Lexi took advantage of in between the rain showers, so that was all right. Come the middle of June, it was once again time for the annual Bronco Stampede here in Kitchener, and hashtag Fill the Hill was definitely the case this time around compared to the first year. Just a massive turnout. It's kind of funny to think that last year, the first annual Stampede event, me and my bad mule won best in show, but I mean this year, with all the trucks and all the work that's done to them, there wasn't any chance that I was going to win it all. So that was pretty cool. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. As I was getting ready for the event early in the morning, I was putting my traction boards on my spare tire that morning. I didn't want to leave them on the truck overnight for fear that they'd get stolen, but in my rush, while trying to strap them on underneath the tire, yanked the boards down and they come down on top of my head, and it left a nice deep permanent mark on my skull. Good reminder to, take your time, don't rush like I always do. Towards the end of last year, you probably saw some episodes where I was mentioning the SLSA Loop a few times, and that was going to be the big premier travel event this year. So I spent most of the winter planning for it. Of course, I got the 12-volt compressor fridge, the Bouge RV, being 4 and 5 days out in the middle of the boonies. You're just not going to be able to find ice to replenish your cooler, so a fridge was a definite must-have. And fuel considerations was also another issue. So there was an episode I posted about the Moto-Built jerry can mount that I bought. So I figured out a way to mount it to the Bronco and carry an extra 20 liters of gas with me. You think with all the careful planning and the trip prep, I would go off without a hitch, but you plan for the worst, hope for the best kind of thing. And for the most part, it pretty much did go off without a hitch. There was a small issue with the Amazon wiring I had on the second last day, I think it was. My fridge lost power. Not a big deal, but I'm sure everybody's seen the episode already. I kind of blew up the internet posting on the Trillium Off-Road Recovery Facebook page. If you haven't seen those episodes, go check them out now, especially the recovery. Being underwater for basically 2 full days, the Bronco was obviously a write-off. If it wasn't for the couple staying at their cottage just up the road from where the incident happened, I don't know what I'd do. With them being so generous and accommodating. Once people started to begin to see the posts on Facebook, word was getting out that some locals to the area would come out and tried to help with the recovery, but the Bronco was like super stuck. Eventually got a hold of JF Dupree. Him and his wife come up, and a handful of his well-equipped friends from Gatineau, Quebec. That one night they come up, showed up in the dark and set up, and JF wanted to go down and see the Bronco firsthand before anything. He definitely made the recovery look easy, but it was anything but, for sure. Like I said, if you haven't seen the recovery video, go check it out. So it turned out getting the Bronco unstuck wasn't the end of the story. I believe by the time we got to Gatineau, it was Saturday or Sunday, and I was trying to get a hold of someone that could tow us back home to Kitchener, which was almost 7 or 8 hours away. They ended up spending the night with JF and Marie at their house, and I finally talked to an insurance rep the next day. He pretty much confirmed that the Bronco would be a write-off. So it was then and there I decided to basically leave it there at their house and then strip it off with all my gear and my belongings and find a pickup truck to rent and get ourselves back home. Of course, the whole time I'm thinking, am I even going to have insurance coverage? Is insurance going to cover this? Huge worry. Once we got back, it was just a constant back and forth with the claims adjusters, trying to get an accident report drawn up from a local police detachment there in Quebec. Obviously, the language barrier was an issue. Me with my single credit 7th grade English course, and maybe only 1 or 2 people there at the detachment with some rudimentary English. Insurance claim wasn't going forward without an accident report, but eventually had that done, handed in. I decided to take another week off of work, burn up the rest of my holidays, just trying to deal with all this. Eventually the claim was settled because of the car market being as it was. They appraised the vehicle basically about the same or a little bit more than what I paid for it in 2021 MSRP. So that was the good news. Bad news was my contents, my drone cameras, gear, electronics, all that wasn't covered in the vehicle policy. That's covered under your tenant insurance. And guess who didn't have any tenant's insurance? It also turned out, unbeknownst to me, that I didn't have rental car insurance coverage in my policy. Something that I have now, of course. But taking the F-150 that I rented and driving it one way from Quebec to Kitchener, I was dinged with an $1,100 return fee from, I think it was Hertz. I guess that's pretty standard for the distance. They had to go and pick it up and bring it back, but the actual rental itself was, I don't know, $350. Once I was back to work, I had to rent another car, which was another $800 for the week. Still working through the red tape with the insurance company and the banks to get the claim payout and get the loan settled and have some cash to go find a replacement vehicle. So because I left the Bronco in Quebec, I managed to get Ford roadside assistance, which I had coverage on the Bronco, obviously being new. They were going to take care of the Bronco and tow it to local collision center, and Ford roadside would pay up to $500 coverage for any rental fees incurred. So that was a plus. As it turns out, weeks and weeks later, after dealing with Ford roadside and getting the insurance documents and the tow paperwork and everything they required, it turns out they covered the $350 for the rental. It's their policy not to cover return fees, just rental fees. So to this day, I'm still not even sure if the bridge accident was the worst thing to ever happen. I mean, dealing with everything afterwards, just an absolute nightmare. The only redeeming thing from this whole situation was coming to the realization of just how generous and helpful people can be. Without the help, I'd absolutely have no idea how I got through this. Just when I thought that was the most incredible thing, the awesome people behind the Ontario Bronco Club on the Facebook page put together a GoFundMe drive to help with the accumulating expenses and rental fees and whatnot. And all the people that kicked in and donated and helped out with that, it was just totally mind-blowing. Thanks again, everyone, for that. So that week I returned to work, I ended up getting help from a coworker. They loaned me the winter beater I was able to use while I shopped around for a car myself. I eventually found a little Ford Fiesta down in Hamilton. My good friend Lee helped me go pick it up. I think a lot of you believe that, once I got the insurance money in hand, I'd probably be out and immediately go and find a replacement bat mule. After settling the loan that I had with the Ford, getting the Fiesta, and because market conditions being as it was, definitely paid more than I wanted to for it, and pretty much what it's worth. Paying down the credit card expenses I incurred over this, I basically just ended up being flush again. So going forward, the plan was to look for a replacement Bronco for next summer 2024. I did a short video a little while ago about a Bronco sitting at the local Ford dealer here in Kitchener, and I think they got about 9 or 10 of them brand new sitting there unsold. And like, if you're looking to get a new Bronco, you're probably definitely better off looking for new dealer inventory. You'll likely get a good deal at that one rather than trying to order one. So speaking of ordering a Bronco, I did another video once the Canadian build and price went live, comparing the Heritage Edition Bronco to all the other trims, and basically determining that the Heritage was probably the best bang for your buck Bronco that you could get. Last month in November, Ford, for whatever reason, canceled orders on their Heritage Edition Broncos 2023s and paused the orders on the 2024s. So the order banks closed. No reason, nobody heard the reason why. I think most people suspected it was the Webasto roof company having issues with the painted modular tops. So then one day, the beginning of the month, I get a message from Connor, and he asked me if I was still interested in a Heritage Bronco, and I said, well, yeah. So it turned out Ford reopened the order books for the Heritage Edition for 2024, and just for 2 days only. I went through the build and price and told Connor how I wanted it spec'd out, and he dropped the order in. The following day at work, that night, I get a message from Connor saying that Ford issued me a VIN and I was scheduled for production at the end of February. We were both pretty blown away by that. My original Bronco, I think it was 8 or 9 months. Once the order went in, that I eventually got a VIN. So with me having a Heritage Edition Bronco order in, I decided to maybe spend some time and redo the channel a little bit. I thought it might be fun to give it a bit of a 70s retro vibe. So you might have seen this in the intro. Did a little bit of research online, looking at some retro fonts and retro color palettes. Kind of restrained myself from going all in on the retro look. I mean, some things from the 70s should probably stay in the 70s, such as the fashion and maybe some of the groovy sayings and whatnot. But I definitely found some retro inspiration online. I hope you like the look, and if you have a comment, please leave it below. Let me know what you think. So here we are at the end of 2023 already. It's been quite a year for me. I hope it's been a little bit better year for you guys. 2024 is right on the doorstep, and I'm really looking forward to what's coming. I hope you'll join me here on the channel in the coming months, in the new year. Definitely going to have an episode of me picking up Bad Mule 2. You won't want to miss that one for sure. Lots and lots of videos coming. And I'm excited to share them with all of you. I hope every one of you has had a wonderful Christmas, and me and Lexi want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. We'll see you all again next year here on The Lonely Overlander. I'm going to go watch some World Junior Hockey and have some of my sister's wonderful shortbread. I'll see you later.